Hi, I'm Dr. Sharon Gam from Sharon Gam Fitness.
And I'm Dr. Yonit Arthur from The Steady Coach.
We are doing Workout A, the first of 2 workouts, specifically with a focus on improving the skills of interoception, proprioception, rewiring your nervous system, and your stress response systems. So a few things I want to go over up front. First of all, it's always really important that you warm up before exercise. So I would encourage you to pause the video and spend 5 to 10 minutes warming up. So maybe doing some light walking or jogging in place, some arm circles or leg swings, just something to get your heart rate up a little bit and get your blood flowing. The workout is going to be a full body workout. So we're doing all of our major movement patterns. So a push, a pull, a squat, a hinge, a core exercise, and then we'll do an accessory exercise. We're going to do the workout in supersets. So a superset is 2 exercises back to back with as little rest in between as possible. And then you rest and start again with the first exercise. We're going to be resting for about 90 seconds. We're going to do 2 sets of each exercise. Now, if you're a little bit more experienced with strength training or you do this workout multiple times, which I encourage you to do, you can eventually add a 3rd set. And we're going to be aiming for 8 to 12 repetitions in each set of each exercise.
Now we know you've got a lot of questions about this workout. You may be wondering what to do if the exercises are too hard, or if they're too easy, or what to do if you don't have access to equipment, or if you have access to more equipment, or if the reps are too high or too low. We're going to answer all of these questions in a separate FAQ video. So you are going to want to check the comments. The top comment will contain a link to that video, also the video description. And thank you again so much for joining us. Let's get started.
All right,
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hi, welcome to Workout A. You'll need a few pieces of equipment here. Ideally, a cable machine. If you don't have a cable machine, I'll be talking about some modifications that you can do using things like resistance bands. We'll also need a set of dumbbells, a bench, a yoga mat, and a step or a box of some kind. We're going to get started. So we are going to start with our first superset. We're doing a pull, which is a lat pull down, and then a hinge, which is a dumbbell deadlift. So we'll talk them through, but let's get into position. So I'm going to get Yonit here sitting right on the edge of the bench. We're going to take an overhand grip on the bar up here, a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. You probably need to stand up and then sit down. Okay. Now, we want to set up nice and strong here. So let's go up to the top and just hang out here for 1 second for me. So we're going to get feet flat on the floor. So I actually want them to come up a little bit. So we're trying to build a really strong, stable foundation here. So you're going to grab the floor with your feet, get nice and stable. Can you do a little bit of a lean back at the waist? Okay, so this is almost our starting position. Now, one other thing that's really, really important is we're going to do what's called pillar bracing. So this is essentially, are you okay holding the weight there for a bit? Okay. This is essentially bracing everything in your midsection. So from your shoulders down to around your hips. So we're going to brace your core, and I'm actually going to give you detailed instructions on how to do that later. You're going to brace your core, we're going to squeeze glutes, and then we're going to pull shoulders down and back. And so now what we have is a good, strong, stable midsection. Can you feel that? Okay. All right, so from here, we're going to initiate the arm movement. So you're going to pull your elbows straight down to your sides. Pause here for just a second for me. So we're coming down until the bar is right around collarbone level, squeezing shoulder blades, yep, and they can come back up. All right, so that's 1. So we're going to do 8 reps on here. 2, perfect. Now at the top, pause for just a split second. I want you to reset that pillar. So core on again, glutes on again, shoulders. Perfect. Now, can you kind of feel how as you move, that pillar relaxes a little bit? So we want to reset it every time. And pillar bracing is incredibly important because what it's doing is it's essentially sending your brain a message that I am strong and stable and under control right now, and that's incredibly important for regulating your nervous system. How we doing on our reps there? All right, you got this. Nice job. And then at the top, we're going to stand all the way up and return the weights back to our starting position. All right, how did that feel? Good? Okay, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. So I'm asking you to slow down and move really slowly, which is very difficult to do, so I appreciate that. Okay, let's go over to our hinge exercise now. So we've got a dumbbell set up on its end on the floor. I want you to come all the way over so the dumbbell is right underneath you here. Then we're going to do a hinge. So a hinge is where you're going to push your hips back and keep your back nice and flat. And then you're going to reach down and grab right underneath the dumbbell. So you might have to bend your knees just a little bit. Now we're going to do that pillar bracing again. So core on, shoulders down and back. And now I want you to, are you okay to hang out for a second there? We're going to do what's called ripping the floor apart with your feet to get your glutes on. So I want you to imagine grabbing the floor and then pulling your feet apart, almost as if you're trying to rip the middle of the floor apart. Can you feel glutes turn on when you do that? Okay, so now you're going to push the floor away to stand it straight up. Perfect. Reset pillar. Come back down. Good. Now we're going to reset again. Very, very important. Sorry, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt your rhythm here. You already know how to do this, so you're good. All right. Pillar. Bring it up. Perfect. Good. Come back down. All right. So you're going to keep going to 8 reps. Something that I also want to mention that sometimes happens is some people will start to lean forward a little bit and let the weight kind of come out in front of them. We want to keep your center of gravity in really close. So I can see that you're in the right position because your forearms are actually touching the insides of your knees. That's how we know that that weight is right underneath you and you're staying in the right position. Awesome. Okay. Good job. Brace hard. Nice job. Yeah, that's really good. How'd that feel? Good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really.
Yeah, I know. I'm making it more difficult for you. I'm sorry. All right, superset 1 is done. So I'm going to put 90 seconds on the clock here to rest. Before I start that, I do want to point out that if you need some extra rest, absolutely okay to take that extra rest. It's really important to listen to your body and do what feels right. So if you need 2 minutes, if you need 3 minutes, totally fine. Okay, so while we're resting here, I just briefly want to talk about your sense of effort. So I have a scale up on the wall. It's probably a little bit hard to see, but basically we're measuring sense of effort on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 would be at the end of your set, you've done an absolute maximum effort. So you are pushing or pulling as hard as you can, and the weight's just not moving. A 9 out of 10 effort would be at the end of your set. You feel like, I could maybe do 1 more with good form, but no more than that. So we would also call that leaving 1 repetition in reserve. An 8 out of 10 would be leaving 2 repetitions in reserve. So you feel like you could maybe do 2 more with good form, but no more than that, and so on. So what we're actually doing when we're thinking about our sense of effort and why I think this is so important from a neural circuit perspective, when you're feeling your sense of effort, what you're actually feeling is fatigues and sensory signals coming in from your muscles and joints. And we really want to get good at feeling and identifying and letting your brain do something with that information. That's really what body awareness is. It's interoception, right? So that's why we want to be really cognizant of your sense of effort each time. So I'm actually going to ask you at the end of each set what your sense of effort is. How are we doing on time? All right, we got a little bit longer here. So when that timer goes off, we're going to go back to our lat pull downs. And this time I want to talk about a couple of modifications, perhaps, if you don't have this equipment or if this exercise or any of the exercises don't feel so good for your body for whatever reason. Okay, so same thing. Slightly wider than shoulder width grip there. We're going to come down so you don't have to pause for so long this time. So we're going to start with our 8. Again, pillar bracing, really important for sending our brain that signal that everything is nice and stable. All right, let's go for it. Good job. So now if you don't have a cable machine, you can do the same exercise with like a long loop resistance band that's anchored to something up high. If that's not an option, generally what we want to do is to modify an exercise is either decrease the weight and see if that helps, or change the exercise for another exercise in the same movement pattern. So this is a pull. So pretty much any exercise with the word pull or row in the name will be a pretty similar modification or a similar exercise that you can change this out to. So like a seated row, 1-arm row, that's 8. Okay, before you let go there, where did we get to with our sense of effort? 6. All right, you got a few more in the tank there. In that case, we're going to keep going. Let's go all the way up to 12 here. Good job. So good pillar bracing. Good. We're bringing those elbows all the way down, making sure that that bar is coming all the way down to collarbone level. Doing great. All right, one more time, brace. Yeah, good work. We're at 12. Nice. All right. Where'd you get up to at 12?
Or like at 7.5%.
7.5, pretty close to 8 or 9. Okay. All right, so that's lat pull down done. How you feeling?
Good.
Okay, good. It's going slow. I know it's going to get you. All right.
We're going normally to it.
All right, so we're back to our hinge now. So again, we're going to set up right over the top of that dumbbell. We're going to hinge, so pushing hips back, bending knees just as much as you need to get to the top of that dumbbell. All right, now super important here. You're going to brace, so core on, shoulders down and back. We're going to rip the floor apart to get glutes and then stand it up. So you don't have to go quite so slow this time. Good job. Good. All right, modifications on this one. So again, the first thing I would always try is lower the weight, see if that helps. If not, if this doesn't feel good because of this kind of head down position, then we could change this for another hinge that's in a different position. So maybe a glute bridge or a hip thrust. I'll demonstrate, or Jenny will demonstrate a glute bridge in the next workout. Or we could try something that's a little bit more upright. That's 8. Where'd we get to on our sense of effort?
7.
7?
Yeah.
Yeah? You want to do a couple more? Or are you good?
I'm good.
All right, good. All right. So that's our first superset done. Okay. So let's move a couple of pieces of equipment around and let's do our push and our squat. So dumbbell chest press and some step ups. So I'll take this if you're okay to move that this way. This is heavy. Yeah. All right. And then I think we'll pull the bench over the other side, perhaps. Okay. 2. So I'm going to move the bench here and I'm going to have you come on this side. Okay. All right. So we just did a lower body exercise. So I think we start on upper body again, which is, this is our push exercise here, dumbbell chest press. So we're going to sit on the edge of the bench here. Now, I'm going to have you demonstrate for everybody the right way to get the weights into position. So you're going to put the weights next to you. You're going to grab one in each hand. And let me know how that weight feels. Up onto your knees. And then we're going to use your legs to kind of pop them up to your shoulders and then lie down on the bench. Good. Okay. All right. Are you okay to hang out here for just a second? Okay. All right. I know. I'm sorry about this. Okay. So now we're going to set up nice and strong again. So we want feet flat on the floor. Again, we need to be sending our brain these signals of stability. We want core on. We got glutes on. And then we're going to initiate that movement by lowering the weights down, bending your elbows, bringing them down to the sides of your chest. Good. And now we're going to bring them back up in an arc and touch them lightly together at the top. We're going to reset that pillar and go again. Good. And I will give you some modifications for this one on the next set. But something I really like about this exercise that I want to mention, doing okay? Mm-hmm. I like this one from the neural circuit perspective because you've got one dumbbell in each hand. You're having to kind of use your limbs independently and create exactly the right amount of force and motor control to bring them up to touch at the top. That's proprioception, right? That's proprioceptive skill right there to be able to do that. And that's what we're trying to train here. All right, let's do it. Let's rebrace core, rebrace glutes. Nice job. One more time. Yeah, good work. And now when you lower them down, you're going to bring them down to your sides. You're going to lower them with your arms in nice and close. So you can lower one at a time to the floor. So take this one down. Yep. Easy. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. And then you can use the other one. There you go. All right. How did that feel? Good. Where did we get to on our sense of effort there?
5, 6.
Yeah, still a little bit low. So those are a little bit too light for you. All right. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's do our squat movement now, which is our step up.
Unweighted first.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, we're gonna do it body weight first. This is a 16-inch box that we have here. So that's the height that we're going to use for our purposes today. And I'll talk about this with our modifications as well. You can also lower the height of that box. Okay, so I'm going to get you to choose whichever foot you'd like to start with. We're going to put it on top of the box there. With all of our squat movements, your foot position is really important. So we want to think about grabbing the floor, or the box in this case, from 3 points of contact. So big toe, pinky toe, heel. Think about kind of grabbing the box. And again, just like with your pillow, we're trying to create a stable foundation from the ground up. From here, I'm going to actually get you to pretend you're holding a weight right now. So bring your hands in kind of like this. We're going to brace core. We're going to give that weight a little bit of a hug, shoulders down. And then you're going to push up through that heel to bring your other foot up. Perfect. And then keep that left foot where it is and just bring the right one down. Rebrace everything, and we'll do it all that way. So this is how there's different ways to do step-ups. This is the way I would prefer to do it today. So again, we're going to aim for about 8 of these. Good. Good job. I'm going to rebrace every time. Now, I just want to mention, and I'll give you some more modifications in the second round, but something I want to mention while you're stepping here is another thing that we're doing in these workouts is training. We talked about interoception a little bit. We talked about proprioception. We're training your stress response system as well, right? So essentially, exercise works by, okay, cool. Where'd we get to on our sense of effort?
5.
We're pretty easy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's good for now.
Okay, so let's do exactly the same on the other side. So I'll instruct it, and then I'll keep talking about the stress system. So we're going to grab the box with that foot, big toe, pinky toe, heel, gripping the box. Core on, little squeeze of that pretend weight. All right, bring it up. Bring that foot up. Yeah, nice. Good. So our stress response system, exercise works by essentially placing a stress on your body, right? Now, it's a good stress because it also releases hormones and neurotransmitters and all these other resources that allow you to recover from that stress. And when you recover from that stress, your stress response system gets better and you adapt and you get fitter and healthier and stronger. So what we're trying to do really is expand your capacity to deal with stress. You can think of exercise as a practice session for dealing with stress. So I like to use the example of the window of tolerance. Your window of tolerance expands and gets bigger. I know you like to do the stress bucket, right? Yeah. Essentially, we're training your stress response to expand and get bigger so you can have a bigger tolerance for stress. Good? About the same sense of effort on the other side?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes you'll notice that your sense of effort on one side versus the other might be different. That's okay. That's normal. That's something that will kind of come together as you practice a little bit. Okay. We are going to do our second rest period now. Putting 90 seconds on the clock again. So while your knee is resting and recovering a little bit, I want to talk about choosing the right weight. So I've already kind of touched on this a little bit. This is where our sense of effort comes into play. So essentially what we want to do to make sure that we're challenging ourselves appropriately to rewire that nervous system and that stress response system, we want to aim to finish each set at about an 8 or 9 out of 10 effort. So to get there, it's kind of a process of trial and error to decide on the right weights, right? So generally, like, you just take a guess, you do your set, you get to the end of the set and you think, am I at an 8 or 9 out of 10? Like, do I feel like I could maybe do just 1 or 2 more and no more than that? And if so, then you're good. You chose the right weight. If not, you might get to the end of the set and think, oh, I'm only at a 5 or a 6 or a 7. In that case, what you should do is you should actually keep going, keep doing reps until you get to that 8 or 9 out of 10 effort. And then you know, all right, I underestimated the weight. This weight was too light. I'm going to choose a heavier weight for the next time. Sometimes you might overestimate and you might not get to the number of reps you were aiming for. Then you just know, okay, that weight's a little bit too heavy. I didn't turn that on, did I? I'm gonna choose a lighter weight for next time. It's totally okay to be doing this process of trial and error. That's what I have been strength training for many, many, many years. I know so have you. I still sometimes have to take a guess on the right weight. So this is a learning process and an ongoing kind of experience. So just, be patient with yourself as you figure it out, and it's okay to just take some guesses. Yep. All right, it's gonna keep beeping. Let's do another set on here. How are you feeling? Good. All right. I can't get that. So that was a slightly longer rest. It makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so same thing. Again, you don't have to pause for as long this time because we've already demonstrated some form. Good. All right, but what we do need to do is feet flat on the floor, core on, glutes on. We're going to take it nice and slow, under control. So we always want to be under control of the weights. We never want to be using momentum or kind of swinging around. If you feel like you are not in total control of the weights are probably a little bit too heavy. Let's talk about modifications. If it doesn't feel comfortable for you to pop the weights up and lie down like that, which is, again, very common and totally fine, you can do what's called a floor press, where you're actually lying on the floor instead of on the bench, and then the weights will be closer to you and you can just lie down and pick them up. If you've got somebody, a workout buddy, they can hand you the weights as well. If being in this position doesn't feel so good for whatever reason, we want to switch this to another push exercise. An incline push-up would probably be my number one choice here.
Should we show them that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's demonstrate an incline push-up. Okay. Good job. You could also, if you're at a normal gym, they'll often have like seated chest press machines. Where did we get to on our sense of effort there?
About a 5.
About a 5. So you could keep going. So in this case, you don't have to, because I know it's hot in here. You can put them down. You can put them down. But in this case, what we would normally do is she would keep going until she got to an 8 or 9 out of 10, and then say, all right, these weights are too light. I'm going to put them up next time. Yeah. All right, last step-ups. Let's do it. Yep. Get these out of the way while you're getting ready. Okay. So again, I'm going to actually have you start on the other side this time just to balance it out a little bit. Okay. So we're going to, again, 3 points of contact, big toe, pinky toe, heel, grabbing the box, brace, squeeze that weight. So now she's got a kettlebell here, but it's exactly the same movement and position. All right, let's do it. Nice. Good. Yeah, and we're resetting and re-bracing every time. Again, that's incredibly important for regulating your nervous system and sending your brain those messages that everything's okay, you're stable, you're under control, you got this. If I was going to modify this, the first thing I would try would be to lower the height of the step. So if you've got an aerobic step, that's, I believe, just the top of an aerobic step is about 4 inches off the ground. If that doesn't feel good for whatever reason, then we would want to switch this to another exercise in the squat movement category. Yeah? How's our sense of effort there?
Like, very light.
Still very light? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do the other side.
I'm still sweating, though.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's Florida summer. All right, 3 points of contact. Brace core, shoulders back. Let's do it. That looks good. Let me get out of the way. About modification, yes. So we would lower the height of the step or the box. The other thing I would do was maybe look at choosing a different squat movement exercise. So this is a single leg squat. I actually like this, again, from a proprioception standpoint. So I would probably replace this with another single leg squat movement. So like a lunge or a split squat would probably, I think, work the best in place of this. Nice job. Yeah, that looks good. All right, same sense of effort? Yeah, okay.
Just sweating.
Yeah. All right, so now let's do a little bit of core, a little bit of accessory stuff. So we just need to get a mat right here.
Are we also taking a minute and 30?
I was gonna use our equipment reset as our rest period. Okay. Moving everything around. All right, let's get our mat down here. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do, for core, we're gonna do a dead bug. I actually have a little trick with dead bugs that I want to use, if that's okay with you. Okay. This is, have you ever used one of these for dead bugs before?
No.
I mean, this is a blood pressure cuff, normal blood pressure cuff, you get it online. What we're going to do is put this down on the mat, and then I want you to sit down, like, dead bug position with that right under your lower back. Okay. All right. So before we get started, I want to show you how to activate your core properly. So we'll go through it step by step because this is very challenging to do. Again, as with everything, I should really mention, like, what we're doing here, this is all skill-based, and like any other skill, it takes practice. So if you get in here and you feel like, I'm not sure if I'm doing this exercise right, it doesn't quite feel right, It's totally okay to feel that way at the beginning. Everything takes practice. I certainly felt that way when I started exercising. So particularly learning to brace properly is a skill. Take your time with it. All right, what we're going to do, I want you to take 2 fingers on each hand, find the kind of bones at the front of your hips, approximately there. Take your fingers and move them about 1 inch in towards your belly button and 1 inch down towards your feet. So where your fingers are now is the easiest place to feel your deep core muscles. That's called your transverse abdominis muscles. So I want you to press your fingers into there a little bit, and then, this is going to seem kind of weird, you're going to make a coughing sound. So I'll turn this way. You're going to go, did you feel a muscle? I saw it. I saw that muscle. So when you do that coughing sound, you'll feel a muscle tense up under your fingers. So now what I want you to do, keep your fingers there, push them in a little bit, try to recreate that same feeling by gently pressing your back into the floor and bracing as if like, your kid is running at you and about to jump on you and you have to kind of brace, or somebody's about to punch you in the stomach and you have to brace. Can you feel that core working? Now, the cool thing with the blood pressure cuff, you can't really see from where you are, but when she activates her core and pushes her lower back into the floor, I can actually see the needle of this blood pressure cuff come up. Yeah, you can't cheat, exactly. Can you feel it under there? Yeah. All right, activate. Yeah. Yeah, you're good, Okay. So if you do not have a blood pressure cuff, which most people probably don't have one lying around, you can do exactly the same thing. It's totally fine. I just like to get this feedback because it's really easy to go through the motions of a core exercise and not actually use your core. Okay, so dead bug. We're going to go arms up and legs up. Perfect. So from here, you're going to brace your core. Yeah, I saw that needle move right there. And then we're going to take one arm and one leg and lower them towards the mat, trying to keep core activated the whole time. So let's actually go opposite arm, opposite leg. So whichever one, yeah. There's a little bit of like coordination and balance here, I know. And then bring it back up. We're going to re-brace again and then do the opposite sides. Good job. And the key here, good work. So she's moving very, very slowly. This is very difficult. The key here is to keep that core activation on the whole time. You probably feel that your core tries to relax, right? And so I want you to re-brace it at the top each time. You're doing great. You're doing great. Good job. Now, with this one, it's really important. So we're going to do 8 on each side, by the way. It's really important that we I know. This is deceptively very, very difficult to do. A lot of people see this exercise and think, oh, that looks easy. It is not easy. So the way to scale this a little bit, if you feel like your core is not working, or if you feel it in your lower back, which is common if your core is not doing its job, then I would get rid of the arms and only do legs. And actually, can you demonstrate this for me for a second? So you can go arms down. I want you to take your heel and just drop it straight down. So don't try to extend out, like drop it even closer than that. Yeah, and then take this one. I'm just going to guide you down like that. Do you feel like that's a bit easier on your core? Yeah, so that is a way that if it feels too difficult to extend the legs out, make it a little bit easier for yourself. It's more important that you are working your core and doing, a reduced range of motion or a reduced difficulty. I'd always prefer you do that than try to do an exercise that's too difficult at the beginning. Okay, good. Woo! Yeah, good job. How's that core feeling? Yeah. Yeah. All right, so you can stay on the mat there. I'll move this out of your way. We're going to do a clamshell. Okay. So we're going to do, so you can actually just turn sideways. Probably best to turn that way. All right. So this is your clamshell. Unit already knows how to do this. This is your clamshell position here. Sometimes, depending on you, I like to go shoulder all the way down on the mat. But if that felt comfortable to be up on your elbow, I'm not too concerned about that. So what we're going to do, I want you to bring your knees up just a little bit. Okay. So now take your, what is it? Your left hand. Find with your thumb that bone again. So thumb over here and then fingers around the back. So like I'm doing this way. Yeah. Yeah. So right now, your fingers are basically over, they're a little bit high maybe, but basically over where your glute medius muscle is, the muscle that we're trying to get to right now. And then you're going to keep your feet touching each other. We're just going to bring that knee up until you feel that muscle turn on. See, it doesn't have to be too far. That's probably plenty. And then bring it back down. And we're going to do, again, 8 to 12 of these. Something that often happens here is people will start to lean back as you go. That's very normal. Like you'll start to kind of rock backwards. So we want to kind of keep making sure that those knees are stacked on top of each other and your hips are stacked on top of each other. How does that feel? Can you feel that muscle? Yeah. the thing I like about this one from a neural circuit perspective, and this is more probably a physical thing, is that muscle that we're working right there, your glute medius muscle, its job is to stabilize your hips when you're on one foot, which is 1,000, multiple thousand times a day. Every time you take a step, that's 8. All right, let's do the other side. So if you can, strengthen those muscles, they're going to help you with your balance and stability. But even more, probably just as importantly as helping with your physical balance and stability, they're also helping with your kind of mental confidence in your balance and stability. Again, we're always trying to just be sending our brain and nervous system these messages to say, hey, I'm strong and stable here. These muscles know what they're doing. I've been working them in the gym. They can handle me walking around in these even maybe like unbalanced situations. How's that feeling?
Good.
Are you having any trouble feeling that muscle, or can you feel it working? Okay. So maybe on the second round, we might get a band around your knees just in case, but you probably don't need it. If you have trouble, I'll just talk it through. So sometimes people have trouble at the beginning. Unit is a very experienced exerciser, so she's very good at feeling the right muscles. Sometimes people have a little bit of trouble feeling those particular muscles at the beginning. So something that can help a little bit is to just add a little bit of resistance. I would usually use little mini resistance band right around your knees here. It just adds a little bit of resistance that sometimes will kind of click on and activate a little bit. So that's something, a little bit of troubleshooting if you can't feel those muscles working. All right, last 90-second rest. We're almost there. I'll try to start the timer this time. So actually what I want to do now is a little interoception check-in. So again, interoception is the ability to feel your body signals. Exercise is great for building interoception because it essentially turns up the volume on those signals so you can feel them more easily. So I want you to check in, and actually throughout every workout, you really should be checking in with your body pretty regularly. So how are you feeling right now?
Good,
Yeah?
yeah.
Okay, good, yeah, me too. Without looking at your watch, how does your heart rate feel right now? Does it feel a little bit elevated at all?
Yeah.
Breathing, does it feel a little bit elevated compared to normal? A little bit, any muscle tension, fatigue? You feel any muscles that have been working?
Yeah, I feel, especially my back.
Yeah, we did some super slow lat pull downs. So essentially what's happening here is she's got some sensory signals coming in, right? Again, that's the skill of interoception, being able to feel those. The other skill that we're working on, though, is the skill of getting comfortable with discomfort. So a lot of those signals, they don't feel super pleasant, right? It doesn't feel great to have your muscles burning necessarily. Some people love it, but those are, I think they're in the minority. So what we're trying to do here is, again, teach ourselves and our nervous system that it's okay to be in a little bit of discomfort, to feel a little unpleasant. You can still be safe and okay. Like, two things can be true at the same time, right? And so the more we practice this, the more comfortable we get with it, and the less our nervous system sees it as threatening and overreacts. That's the beauty of exercise. Look at that timing. One more dead bug, one more clamshell, and then we're done. Okay, so you don't need that for now. We're going to do the same thing. Up to you if you want to do the full arms and legs, or if you want to, how you want to kind of modify it. Again, we're making sure that we're scaling this so that your core is able to work appropriately. If this position does not feel so good for your body for whatever reason, a few things that I would try. So we already talked about how to scale it down to make it a little bit more manageable. If the problem is being on your back like this in this position, then we can try a core exercise where you're kind of face down. So that would be something like a plank. You can be off to the side like a side plank. Or if none of that helps, there are some core exercises that you can do standing up. So something like a wood chop or a Pallof press, where you take one of these long loop bands and you attach it onto something solid, and you can actually do some resistance band work for your core standing up. So you can try that as well. Six, okay. How's that core feeling? All right, it's almost there, Doing great. So I can actually see you're resetting and bracing your core every time. And so that, a little bit of shaking is normal. That's telling me that you're working hard. Doing great. Good job. Yeah. Good. So we're going to just feel that burn, lean into that a little bit. This is part of those skills that we're working on. Is this last one?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Left side.
Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah, for green. Yeah, that's all right. Just do some bonus ones. Now I think you're good. All right, good work. Last clamshells, and we are done with workout A. Oh, we didn't do incline push-ups. Okay, let me set that up while you're doing your clamshells, and then we'll just do a little bonus demonstration. So again, yeah, I like to actually get your fingers in there and try to feel, and the way that I find the easiest to do that is thumb on that hip bone, fingers wrapped around the side. Good. And we're again moving nice and slow and under control. We're trying to feel for that target muscle, which in this case is that glute medius muscle. That's sideways. Good job. How are those feeling?
Good.
Yeah? Can you feel that in there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Nice job. And so where's our sense of effort on those two? Those are a little, when it's an isolation exercise, it's a little bit trickier.
Yeah. The deadlifts, I mean, I couldn't have done anymore.
Right. So you're probably getting close to that 8 or 9 out of 10. Yeah. With these ones, it's a very much an isolation exercise. I'm not as worried about getting to that 8 or 9 out of 10 effort, but definitely you want to make sure you're always feeling it and challenging yourself a little bit. Good. Good job. All right, what number are we on there? 4, good. Okay, yep, that's good. And again, you've got everything stacked on top of itself. Can you feel how you want to lean back a little bit? That's totally normal. You want to lean back, yeah. So we're just going to keep, just like we're resetting our pillar every time, we're going to just kind of keep resetting that position. Again, totally normal if you need to reset every time. Okay, little bonus exercise?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, incline push-ups. This is how I would set it up in here, is essentially we're just going to do a push-up, which is a push, but we're going to elevate your hands on an elevated surface. So for our purposes, that elevated surface is going to be this barbell right here. So you're going to stand, we'll have to face this way. All right, so we've got hands on the barbell, so they're just a little bit outside shoulder width apart. That looks good. It's a little bit of trial and error where to place your feet. We won't really know until you come down for the first time, but what we're trying to do is get your chest, the middle of your chest, to hit this bar. So sometimes you'll, again, like everything else, trial and error, right? Let's see where it comes down to when we come down. So feet are probably a little bit close there, right? Yeah. All right, good. So something I want to point out, so you go ahead, so this is perfect form here. I hope you guys can see that what Yonita's doing is making an arrow shape between her arms and her upper body here. So what often people will do with push-ups is they'll make a T shape. I'm just demonstrating behind you. They'll make a T shape like this where elbows are kind of flaring up to the sides. Instead, we want an arrow shape. So you can see here how her shoulders are back. And we're on core on, glutes on, nice stable pillar. And just lowering yourself till you touch that bar. So this is a really great push exercise. And the way that you would modify this is the lower the bar is to the floor, the harder it is. So as you're getting started and building particularly some upper body strength, you might start with your hands elevated up pretty high, like you would move the bar up. Now, if you guys saw how I set up the bar just before, I could choose any height here. And then as you get stronger, you can lower it down a little bit further towards the floor. How'd that feel?
Yeah.
Good? Okay.
Yeah.
Good job. Okay. All right. I think that's workout A.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.